"You're my mom," said the little girl to the doctor when she saw her hands. The front entrance of St. Jude City Hospital was bustling with noise. Nurses moved in and out. A patient yelled from a wheelchair, and a paramedic slammed the back doors of an ambulance. No one paid much attention to the barefoot little girl wandering the sidewalk, her clothes torn, knees scraped, and eyes swollen from crying. She was no older than 5. Her skin was dusty. Her thin braids bounced as she walked unevenly, trembling with every step, until she collapsed. Right there, on the cold pavement, she dropped to her knees in front of the automatic glass doors and let out a heart-wrenching cry. "Please, please, don't go!" Her hands clutched together as if in prayer. Her tiny body shook with fear. That's when Dr. Emily Wren stepped out. White coat fluttering in the breeze, stethoscope around her neck, Emily had just finished a 10-hour shift in the pediatric wing. Her mind was foggy, her body exhausted. She was planning to grab coffee and catch a cab, but the sound of that little voice pierced through her fatigue like lightning. She looked down the steps, confused at first, then alarmed. There was a child on the ground, alone, barefoot, crying so hard she was gasping. Emily rushed forward. "Sweetheart, are you okay? What happened? Are you hurt?" The girl didn't answer. Instead, she looked up slowly, and the moment their eyes met, the child froze. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she wasn't crying from pain anymore. She was staring, not at Emily's face, but her hands. Emily followed her gaze, puzzled. Then the girl whispered it, like a breath wrapped in a secret. "You're my mom." The world stopped. Emily's face paled. "What? What did you say?" The girl took a shaky breath, lifted her tiny hand, and pointed to a mark on Emily's right palm, a crescent-shaped birthmark, faint but unmistakable. The same one Emily's grandmother used to say made her chosen. The same one she had prayed her child might inherit. The girl sobbed harder, crawling forward. "My mommy, she had that. She told me when I grow up and find a lady with the same moon on her hand, I'd know she's mine." Emily stumbled back. "Number this. This can't be," she whispered. By now, nurses had gathered at the doors. Some were calling security. Others tried to approach the girl, but she screamed and clung to Emily's leg. "Don't let them take me. Please, Mommy, please." Emily looked down at the child in horror, not because she believed it, but because she felt it. Her chest ached. Her hands trembled. She had never seen this girl in her life. But something in her eyes, in her voice, it tugged at a place Emily had long buried. 6 years ago, when Emily was only 18, her world fell apart in one rainy night. She was pregnant, alone, driving herself to the ER after experiencing early contractions. And then a crash. A truck ran a red light. She woke up a week later in intensive care. Her baby, she was told, had been born premature and hadn't survived. But the hospital couldn't give her a death certificate. No record. Just a single statement. The infant was transferred before final paperwork could be filed. She had asked questions. She had screamed at doctors, but no one gave her answers. Eventually, with nowhere else to go, she moved away and enrolled in medical school, telling herself to forget. But she never did. She never stopped thinking about her baby. Back in the present, security arrived. One guard gently tried to separate the child from Emily, but she screamed so loud that even people across the street turned to look. Emily finally spoke. "Don't touch her." Her voice was soft, but absolute. The child clung tighter. "You smell like her." she whispered, closing her eyes. "You smell like my mommy." Emily knelt down. Her own tears spilled over now. "What's your name?" "Hope," Emily gasped. That was the name she had picked for her unborn daughter. She had never spoken it to anyone, not once. An ambulance pulled up, but Emily blocked them. "I'll take her inside. No restraints, no trauma." The staff hesitated, but obeyed. She scooped the barefoot child into her arms, holding her like she had waited years to do it. As she passed through the hospital doors, her mind was reeling. She turned to the nurse's station. "Get me her file. I want to know every place this child has been, every name she's been listed under, every foster home, every visit." One nurse blinked. "You think she's your—" Emily didn't answer. She simply held the girl tighter and whispered, "I'm not letting go. Not again." The fluorescent lights of St. Jude's pediatric wing flickered softly as Dr. Emily Wren sat beside a hospital bed, watching the little girl sleep. Hope clutched a stuffed bunny a nurse had given her, her tiny hand still wrapped around Emily's fingers, even in her dreams. Emily hadn't let go of her since she was brought inside. The child had cried herself into exhaustion, and now silence filled the room. But Emily's heart pounded like a war drum. She still couldn't breathe properly. She had demanded a DNA test immediately. Blood samples were taken from both of them just hours ago. It was all moving so fast, and yet not fast enough. While waiting, Emily paced the halls, digging into every file the hospital had on Hope. The first discovery chilled her. Hope wasn't a runaway from a nearby neighborhood, as everyone assumed. She had been found abandoned outside a shelter across the city 3 years ago. Malnourished, silent, no ID, no records. Since then, she'd bounced between foster homes, state care, and the occasional emergency room visit. Always silent, always restless, always searching. No one had connected the dots until she saw Emily's hands. That evening, a nurse quietly handed Emily a sealed envelope. The DNA test. Emily opened it in trembling silence, and there it was, staring back at her in black and white. Parent-child relationship, 99.9% probability. Her knees gave out. She sat on the floor, unable to stop the flood of tears. She had been told her baby died, but they lied. The truth unraveled slowly over the next week. A retired nurse, tracked down by one of Emily's friends, confirmed what really happened. 6 years ago, after Emily's accident and emergency delivery, a private adoption agent had been called in, paid off by someone connected to the hospital's director at the time. The baby had been taken, declared deceased to the unconscious mother, and placed into an unregulated adoption ring. But something went wrong. The couple meant to receive the baby disappeared. Authorities suspect they either changed their minds or got cold feet. The infant was left at a remote shelter, unnamed, unclaimed, and eventually forgotten by the system, forgotten by everyone, except the child herself. Emily sat in the same pediatric room where Hope had been moved to long-term care. The little girl woke up slowly and looked around, eyes tired, unsure. Then she saw Emily. "You're still here," she said quietly. Emily smiled through tears. "I told you I wouldn't leave again." Hope looked at her for a long time. Then she sat up slowly and whispered, "Do you remember me now?" Emily knelt beside her and pressed their palms together, the crescent moon birthmark, both marks, side by side. "I never forgot you," Emily said, her voice cracking. "I just didn't know where to find you." Hope didn't speak. She just climbed into Emily's lap, buried her face into her shoulder, and held on. 3 weeks later, after court orders, investigations, and a public apology from the hospital's new board, Emily was officially granted full custody. She chose not to sue. She said all she ever wanted was Hope back. The media tried to make it a sensation. Doctor reunites with daughter after hospital hid birth. But Emily didn't care about headlines. All she wanted was time to make up for the years she lost. One rainy afternoon, Emily sat with Hope at their new apartment, brushing her hair. Hope turned her head and asked, "Why did you name me Hope?" Emily smiled. "Because even when everything went dark, I still believed there was light somewhere. And now I know it was you." Hope smiled back and whispered, "You found me?" Emily pulled her close, holding her tighter than she ever had anyone in her life. "No, baby, you found me." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.